This conference will now be recorded.
So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the test classes. So we'll see what exactly a test class, what is the use, how to prepare the test classes in Salesforce, and how to do the unit testing of the business logic which we have prepared, and what are the various code components in Salesforce for which we need to prepare the test classes, and how to do the unit testing through with the help of test classes. We'll see practically in this case. So when coming to that Salesforce, as part of the application development, we are preparing so many business logic components. We are preparing so many business logic components. Like we are preparing two Apex classes also, in which we are writing some business logic. We are preparing some triggers. We are preparing some batch classes. We are preparing some schedule classes. And we are preparing some controller classes as part of Visual Force controller classes. We are preparing some web services, so these are also called as APIs. For all these code components, we have to do the unit testing. That means once application development has been done, the immediate stage will be the unit testing. That means as a developer, it is our responsibility not only building the feature, not only implementing the business logic, we need to test it. We have to verify so whether this process, whether this business logic is working properly or not. We need to test. To test that one, we are preparing some automated script. Instead of doing the testing manually every time, we are going to preparing some automated script that is called as a test class. So test class is nothing but an automated script which is used to test your business logic which you have implemented. Now we can raise a question. Sir, as part of this application development, we are doing so many configuration features. Like we are creating some objects, fields, validations, and the workflows, processes. For this one, do we need to prepare any test classes? No. For the configuration related features, no need to prepare any test classes. For configuration related features, we no need to prepare any test classes because Salesforce is already having those features inbuilt. Only for the development. As part of development, whatever the business logic components that you have implemented, whatever the Apex classes that you have prepared, whatever the triggers we have prepared, whatever the batch classes we have prepared, whatever the schedule classes we have prepared, whatever the Visual Force controller classes we have prepared, whatever the web services or APIs we have prepared, for these code components we have to do the unit testing with the help of some automated scripts, with the help of some automated code that is called as a test class. Now, so in this case, as part of this application development, not only developing the application functionality, we have to do the testing also, initial testing, that is called as unit testing. Functional testing will be done by that testing people. Those people will do with the both positive and the negative cases. By preparing their own test scenarios, by using their own test plans, by using their own testing cases, they will do the testing. It's a separate one. So now, before releasing this feature, before moving this feature to the other instance, why? Because when you go to that application development, when you go to the application development, you will be having the various environments. Okay, you will be having the various environments over here. Like for example, when you go to that application development, you will be having the various environments will be available to you. Now, let me show you the various environments maintained by Salesforce, that is also called as Salesforce landscape. Now, so as part of this application development, you will be having the various environments. For every project, we are following these kind of environments. Like you will be having the developer environment, you will be having the QA environment or testing environment, you will be having UAT environment, stage environment, and finally you will be having the production. These are the various environments that the people are going to be maintaining for your project. Depends upon the project, depends upon the complexity of the project, they are going to be defining this landscape. This is called as a landscape. This is called as a landscape, okay, which the people will follow as part of that application development. Depends upon the application, depends upon the domain, depends upon the complexity of the application, they are going to be following this landscape. But this is not fixed. This is not fixed. Like here, every project should have the same environment. There is no such kind of rule. Depends upon your requirement, depends upon your project, depends upon the criticality of the functionalities in the project. They will decide. The solution architect will decide what kind of landscape they have to follow, what kind of environments they would like to have for this project. So in this case, as part of this application development, we are having these are the various environments. Like initially, we'll be having the development environment. In this development environment, we are going to be developing the code. Each and every developer is going to be implementing the functionalities by using their own sandboxes. We'll see what exactly the sandbox and how to prepare these environments, how to map the connection between these sandboxes. We'll see. During the sandbox concept, during the deployment concept, I will show you practically how can we do this. The practical concept we see during the sandbox concepts. Now, so now in this case, we will be having the various environments available. As part of this development environment, as a developer, we are the developers. We are implementing the various business logics. We are implementing the features as per the application requirement. As per the application requirement, we are building the various features. We are implementing the configuration features also, like we are creating some objects, we are creating some fields, we are adding some page layouts, we are adding some formulas, we are adding some roll-up summaries, and we are going to be preparing some workflows, process builders, everything we are implementing. Along with that, we are implementing some business logic components also according to the business need, okay, which will be done through Apex programming by using this Force.com platform. By using this Force.com platform, as part of this application development, we are going to be creating some Apex classes also, some triggers also, some batch classes also, schedule classes also, web services also, Visual Force pages also. Behind the Visual Force, we are preparing some controllers also. Now, so once application development has been done, once you are done with the business logic, then we are moving this code to that QA environment. That means to the testing environment. So now, before moving this code to the testing environment, first of all, we have to test it, right? Like whatever the Apex class that are prepared, it is working properly or not, we need to test it, right? Yes. Like for example, if you want to buy the 2 rupees pen, then first of all, we're testing that, whether it is writing properly or not, whether it is comfortable to write or not, we're testing that just for a 2 rupees of pen. If it is writing properly, then only we are paying the 2 rupees to that particular person. If you want to buy a mobile, then we are going to be visiting the 4 mobile shops. And then we are doing the required bargaining. We are testing that mobile by using the demo pieces. By using the demo pieces, we are testing that first. Whether this mobile is within our budget or not, whether this mobile is having all the features, whatever we are expecting or not. whether it is having the required configuration or not. We are testing all these functionalities over here. And then the people who is offering more discount, then we are purchasing. So it means we are doing the testing first. If it is working properly, then only we can able to invest the amount. Like the similar way, after developing this application functionality, for before moving to the QA environment, we have to test first. We have to test. As a developer, not only implementing it, immediately we have to test it, whether it is working properly or not. That testing process is called as unit testing. Unit testing. Unit means what? Each and every piece, each and every functionality, each and every business logic which you have implemented. It may be small also, it may be big also. We have to do the testing first. If it is working properly, then only we can able to indicate that I'm done with this task. Now, so for that reason here, we have to do the proper testing, once the development has been done. Immediately, we have to do the testing that is called as unit testing. Now, in this case, to do the unit testing, through automated scripts, we are going to be using this feature called as testing classes. Testing classes are used to do the unit testing as part of your application development. As part of your application development, whatever the business logic components or whatever the code components which we have implemented, whatever the business logic components which we have implemented, so now those business logic functionalities, we have to test it first. We have to do the unit testing of this business logic functionalities. For that one, we are going to be using the help of testing classes. So in order to do the unit testing of the business logic components, we are going to be using this testing classes. Now, so now why? Because here you can able to raise a question, sir, why you are going to be preparing this testing classes? If I'm not preparing, then what will happen? Now, in this case, whenever we are going to be implementing the business logic, in that business logic, it may be having some wrong logic may be there. It may be having some wrong logic. So in this case here, or else in that one we have written some code which can do some harm to that cloud. So in this case, what we are doing, you are implementing the business logic over here. You are implementing the business logic, and then we are moving into the ultimately, finally, you are moving to the production. So upon executing this code inside the production server, nothing but in your server instance, if it is giving some issues, because of that issue, the server may be getting affected. It may be impacting on the cloud. So to avoid this kind of issues, we are going to be having the proper thorough testing before moving the code to the production environment. For that one, we are preparing some automated scripts. Those are called as testing classes. Now, so before moving this code to the production, we have to test it perfectly. So whatever the code that I have implemented, so inside this code, minimum 75% of the code, minimum 75% of the code should be the quality code. Minimum 75% of your code should be quality code, or else your production instance does not allow you to deploy your code. You can't deploy the code to the production. It won't allow, Salesforce won't allow. Because here, whenever we are going to be developing the features, 100%, 100% satisfaction, nobody can make the people. Nobody can satisfy the people 100%. Even though if the God is giving some 1 crore lottery to you, the people will expect some more, because that is not sufficient. Because there is no limit for the expectations. Even though the parents are providing the required resources to the kids, to the childs, then the childs are expecting some more. So that nobody can satisfy the people 100%. Like the similar way, nobody can satisfy the customer 100%. Nobody can develop the application 100% bug free. 100% bug free application may not be possible. You can try, but there might be some issues maybe there in the application. So that small issues we can rectify later stages also, no problem. But at least we have to give that almost, we have to give some 95% or 90% of that code should be quality. 1 or 2 features may be there which may be having some issues. Okay, fine, no problem. But the 100% satisfaction nobody can make. So in this case, whenever we are going to moving the code from your development environment to the production, mandatorily we from your code, 75% of the code should be quality code. Nothing but we have to test this code perfectly by using unit test classes, that is test classes. If the code is not quality, okay, if the code is not quality, if the code is not having minimum 75% of the quality, then Salesforce doesn't allow you to deploy that code to the production instance. You can't deploy your application to the production. This is the principle which has been given by Salesforce. So whenever we are moving the code from your environment to the production, minimum we have to maintain 75% of the code coverage should be there. That means quality code you have to maintain. This is a fundamental principle. Without maintaining the quality of the code, minimum 70% we can't move to the production. Even though if you're having 74, 74.9, Salesforce won't allow. Minimum 75% of the code should be quality code, then only Salesforce will allow you to move the code to the production. This is the fundamental principle. So that here, whenever we are going to be implementing the code, always we have to do the testing. Okay, always we have to do the testing, okay, for the business logic component, whatever we have prepared. So now to prepare the testing process automatically, we are going to be using this testing classes. These are also the Apex classes, only nothing different. These are also the Apex classes, but these are we are using for the testing purpose. That's it. So these are we are using for the testing purpose. Now, so let me give that note pointer. Test classes. Upon implementing the application features, we are preparing a collection of business logic functionalities in the form of Apex classes, triggers, batch classes, schedule classes, Visual Force controller classes, web services, and KPIs. So we are implementing this various business logic functionalities. Now, once the features has been implemented, then as a developer, it is our responsibility. It is our responsibility that we have to test each piece of business logic. Each piece of business logic by using unit testing. By using unit testing. We can test the features with preparing the automated scripts. Automated scripts by using Apex programming, which are called as test classes. So test classes are the automated test scripts which are used to test your business logic functionalities. So what are the business logic that you have implemented in the form of Apex class, in the form of the trigger or batch class or scheduling class or web service, whatever we have implemented. So now each and every business logic component we have to test it. Now, so why we need to prepare this unit testing over here? Because whenever if you want to move the code from your sandbox to the production, then minimum we have to maintain 75% of the quality code. Minimum we have to maintain 75% of the code should be quality code. Or else production server doesn't allow you to deploy the code. That is a functionality, that is a base. Now, in this case, upon deploying the code to the production server, the production instance, we have to maintain minimum 75% of the quality code. Else, production server doesn't allow you to deploy the code. Doesn't allow you to deploy the code. Now then, by using this testing classes, what we are assuring, we are going to be assuring the code quality. We are assuring the code quality. That means it is the quality of the code, and then which doesn't make any impact on the cloud. So whatever the business logic that we have written, it may be we may be writing some wrong logics also sometimes. We may be writing some wrong logics also. Because of the wrong logic, it should not impact on the cloud. Why? Because it's here on the same server, there is not a dedicated server to me. In the single server, Salesforce is allocating the memory space for 8,000 to 10,000 organizations. Salesforce is allocating the memory space for more than 8,000 organizations in the same server. Suppose because of my code, if the complete server has been getting affected, what about the remaining 7,999 people's applications? Those people will be getting affected. So for that reason here, Salesforce is not giving a separate dedicated server. If we are maintaining our own dedicated server, a separate server for my organization, then at that time, if the code is impacting on that particular server, then only my organization will be getting affected. But here, the server is not a dedicated server, it's a cloud server, it's a shared infrastructure maintaining by Salesforce. So that within a single server, Salesforce is allocating the memory space for 8,000 organizations. So because of my code, if the server has been getting affected, then very many customers will be getting impacted automatically. For that reason, Salesforce is giving a governor limit that upon moving the code to the production, we have to maintain minimum 75% of the code should be quality code. Okay, now by using testing classes, we can maintain the quality code. We can maintain the code quality. Code quality. That is also called as code coverage. That is also code coverage in Salesforce. We can maintain the code quality so that it should not impact on the cloud. So that it should not impact on the cloud. It should not be having any impact on the cloud. So in this case, how can we prepare these testing classes? Okay, how can we prepare these testing classes? Now, so in this case, as part of this application development, so that is showed you here. Here we are having the various environments available. Development environment. We are having this QA environment and the UAT environment. Here we are going to be, so the business people, the business end users will do the testing on this UAT server. And then the stage environment, it's a production replica of a production. And then we are having the production server. So these are all the sandboxes. These are all the sandboxes. Okay, these are all of the sandboxes. These are not the live environment. Only the production is the live environment, which will be having your live data, which can be accessible by your customers, our partners, our employees, our end users, everyone. So as part of the development, as part of the application development, we need a separate system. We need a separate environment where we can develop and test our application functionalities. For that one, Salesforce has given an environment that is called as Sandbox. Sandbox is nothing but a development environment where we can develop, we can test, we can integrate, and then we can give the training to the end user also. Whenever if you want to give the training to the end user, then we are using Sandbox, not on the production. Whenever if you want to give a demo to the client, then we have to do the demo on that Sandbox, not on the production. If the client is okay, everything is fine, then only we can deploy the code to the production. So at that time, so these are the various sandboxes. As part of development, we are using the different sandboxes. As part of that QA, we are using a separate sandbox. For the UAT environment, separate sandbox. For the stage environment, separate sandbox. At that time, whenever we are developing the application functionality, this is the flow we used to follow. Development environment. First of all, you have to develop and then unit testing, and then we have to move to that QA environment. This is a separate sandbox. Here, the QA people will test your application functionality. Testing people will do the testing also with both positive and negative cases. If there is any defects are available, we have to fix those defects. If there is no defects are available, if the whole business logic is working fine, then we are going to moving the code to the UAT environment. Here, from the client side, okay, from the client side, the testing people will do. The business people, the end users will do the testing over here with the live data. So now, if this UAT is also working fine, if we are also testing is fine, if there is no issue, then we are going to moving to the code to the stage environment, and then we can collect the deployment window from the client side. Once the client has approved the deployment window, deployment time, like as on Saturday and Sunday, then during that time we are deploying the code to the production instance. From there, their customers, partners, employees, everybody can access this application. So in this case, these are all the sandboxes. So these are all the sandboxes. Development, QA, UAT, stage, these are all of the sandboxes. Whenever you are moving the code from sandbox to sandbox, testing classes are not required. Testing classes are not required. So like as development environment to the QA, then in this case, from this sandbox to this sandbox, development sandbox to QA sandbox, testing classes are not required. QA to UAT, testing classes are not required. UAT to stage, testing classes are not required. Stage to production, testing classes are mandatory here. So upon deploying the code, sandbox to sandbox, if you're moving the code from sandbox to sandbox, okay, then code coverage is not required, testing classes are not required. But whenever we are moving the code to the production, okay, code coverage is mandatory. Now, so in this case, let me give this note point over. Upon moving the code from sandbox to sandbox, code coverage is not required. But while moving the code from sandbox to production, we have to maintain minimum 75% of the code coverage. We have to maintain minimum 75% of the code coverage. Now, if the code coverage is less than 75%, then production instance doesn't allow you to deploy the code. Now, if the code coverage is less than 75%, then Salesforce doesn't allow you to deploy the code inside the production site. Now, in this case here, we have to test this. We have to prepare the automated scripts. That means we have to prepare some script. We have to write some code to test our business logic. Whatever the Apex class that we have prepared, that Apex class we have to test through programmatically, not manually, through programmatically we have to test it. Then how can we test it over here? Now let's see. So now for what components you need to prepare the test classes? Test classes should be required for the business logic components which we have implemented, like the Apex classes, triggers, batch classes, schedule classes, Visual Force controller classes, web services or API. For these components, we need the test classes. But the remaining configuration related features, test classes are not required. Now, test classes should be prepared the below code components or below business logic components. For the below business logic components, we have to prepare the code coverage. So these are the various code components for which we need to prepare the test classes. For the configuration features, we no need to prepare any test classes over here. Okay, now I'm giving that outline. For the configuration features, we no need to prepare the test classes. We no need to prepare the test classes for the configuration related features. Only for the business logic components which we have implemented, okay, we need to prepare the test classes. So in this case, here we can raise a question. Sir, how can we ensure that we are maintaining, okay, 75% of the code coverage? How can we maintain, how can we ensure that 75% of the code coverage we are maintaining right now? In this case, okay, now in this case, if you want to know your organization's code coverage, how much code coverage that you are maintaining for your organization, then we are having a specific feature given by Salesforce. Salesforce is estimating that how much code coverage that we are maintaining over here. Now, in this case, before moving the code, we have to estimate the organization's code coverage. Code coverage and how can we maintain your organization's code coverage? How much code coverage that you are maintaining for your organization? Now, in this case, you can go to the setup menu, go to the building menu, click on develop. Click on Apex classes link, and then click on the link, estimate the organization's code coverage. Estimate the organization's code coverage. So this is the feature. So now Salesforce is giving a ready-made feature in order to estimate how much code coverage that we are maintaining for our organization. That means how much quality code that we are maintaining for our organization. We can estimate that. Then how can we test? How can we test the total code coverage that we are maintaining for our organization? Now let me show you practically. Now, let's go to your organization. Go to the building menu in the left panel. Click on develop. Click on Apex classes. So when you go to the Apex classes, here you will be having a small link. Estimate your organization's code coverage. Estimate your organization's code coverage. Just click on this link. It will be compiling all your Apex classes, and it is going to be executing the test classes which you have prepared, okay, in the past. It will verify how much code coverage that you are maintaining for your organization. Now, so now I would like to test this one. So click on this link. Once you click on this link, it is estimating that. Now it is indicating that. So now the code coverage for my organization is 0%, because we haven't prepared any test classes as of now. We haven't prepared any test classes as of now, so that it is indicating 0%. Now it is indicating your overall code coverage is currently 0%. To deploy the code to the production, you must have at least 75% of the code coverage mandatorily, or else Salesforce won't allow. Production server doesn't allow. So now here in this case, we have to prepare some test classes in order to maintain the quality of the code. To ensure the quality of the code, we are going to be testing. Everywhere, wherever you go nowadays, everywhere, testing is mandatory. Before having some food, before having some lunch or breakfast or dinner, first of all, we're having test. Okay, whether it is properly available or not, whether the test is good or not. So everything we are testing that. The same way, whatever the business logic we have implemented, that we have to test. For that reason, we are preparing some automated scripts. Those are called as test classes. Test classes are nothing but the automated scripts which are used to test our business logic components, which we have implemented as part of the application development. Now, in this case, how can we prepare the test classes? How to prepare the test classes? Now, for example, come to a scenario. Now I show that. Here you can raise a question. Sir, here Salesforce is indicating you must have at least 75% of the code quality. 75% of the code quality. That means what? Overall organization wide, we have to maintain 75% of the code is the quality. Because in my organization, I have written so many classes, so many triggers, so many batch classes, so many scheduled classes, so many Visual Force pages, and so many web services. Everything we have implemented as part of the application. So now in this case, how can we ensure 75% of the code coverage? That means 75% of the code coverage means every business logic class, every trigger, every epic class, every batch class should have minimum 75% of the quality. No, not like that. Suppose, for example, assume that in a general scenario, assume that if anybody asks what is your percentage in your graduation, we are saying that 80%, 75, 90%, whatever. Suppose I said that 80%. That means 80% means did you got 80% of the marks in each and every subject? No. In one subject I got 90%. In one subject 70%. In one subject 65%. In one subject just pass marks. But the overall wide will be the 80% of the marks. Overall, not each and every subject wise. Like the similar way here also. So now overall code coverage should be 75%. That means here, so now it doesn't mean every Apex class, every trigger, every batch class should have 75%. So now overall we have to maintain 75%. In one class we can have 0%. In one class 100%. In another trigger we can have 75%. In another class we can have 80%. Like that, but overall should be 75% of the code quality. We have to maintain. So that's here, when coming to that organization, okay, when coming to the organization, for each and every Apex class, for each and every trigger, for each and every batch class, web service class, Salesforce will maintain the code coverage. How do we know for each class how much code coverage is available? As of now, we have created so many Apex classes, so many triggers, then how do we know each and every class, each and every trigger's code coverage? How can we maintain? How can we know? Now, let me explain. We can verify each business logic class or trigger code coverage by using the below navigation. So we can verify each and every class code coverage. We can verify. We can go to the setup menu, go to the build menu, go to develop. Click on Apex classes link. Open any of the Apex class. Open any of the Apex class or trigger anything. trigger anything. For example, common utility class. Now then view the field code coverage. Then view the field code coverage. So now you will be having that code coverage. There is a field is available in that class. So now there we can able to see that how much percentage of the quality that we are maintaining for that class. Now, so it is indicating that how much percentage that you are maintaining. Because for example, it is indicating some 20% or 30%, 0%, whatever, anything. It is maintaining that. Depends upon the test classes which you are prepared. Now, so now here in this case, let me show you practically. Assume that this is the class here. For example, I have a class. So now account to share handler. This is the class. Click on this class. That means I'm opening this class. Now it is indicating this is the business logic which you have prepared to share that account record to the other people dynamically at runtime. So now when you observe this class code, here you can able to see the code coverage. There is a small field called as code coverage. So what is the code coverage right now for this class? 0%. So now currently the code coverage for my class is 0%. We haven't prepared any test classes as of now, so it is showing that 0%. Now, for example, let's open one trigger. Go to the Apex triggers. Open any of the trigger over here. Auto lead conversion trigger. Now, so for this trigger, what is the code coverage here? We can able to see the code coverage in this place. In the right left side, you will be having the code coverage. What is the code coverage that we have? We are having 0%. So we are having 0%. The code coverage is 0%. Like that, each and every class, each and every triggers code coverage, we can able to verify. That facility is available in this case. The facility is available. RMs. Now in this case, we can raise a question. Sir, here I'm having some hundreds of classes are available, hundreds of triggers are available. How do we know each and every class code coverage? You want me to open each and every class manually and then let's verify this code coverage field? No, we can see each and every class code coverage in one shot also. Without opening each and every class file and without looking into that code coverage field, we can see each and every class code coverage in one place also. That facility is available. How? Let me show you. In this case, go to the developer console. Go to the developer console. In this developer console, you will be having a tab bar. There is a tab bar is available. There is a tab. In this tab bar, you will be having the various tabs are available. Logs tab, test tab, checkpoints, query editor, view state, progress, problems like that. So just to go to the test tab, click on this test tab. We can see each and every class code coverage in one place. Just click on test. Now here it is indicating. Here it is indicating that each and every class code coverage we can able to see in one place. It may be trigger also, it may be class also. Everyone's code coverage we can able to see. The overall is what? 0% right now. This is the account to share handler class, 0% of the code coverage. Account to trigger, this is 0% code coverage. Auto lead convert trigger, 0% code coverage. Calculate total annual revenue batch to 0% code coverage. Common helper class, 0% code coverage. Contact helper class, 0% code coverage. Like that, each and every class and each and every triggers code coverage you can able to see in one shot, okay, by using this test tab inside your developer console. In your developer console, we can able to verify that each and every class code coverage also in one shot. No need to open. If I'm going with the standard navigation, previous mechanism, we have to open each and every class and then only we can see the code coverage. But here, all the business logic components code coverage, you can see at one place in the form of a tabular format. That facility is available here. This is one of the benefits which has been given by Salesforce as part of this developer console. Now, so in this case, go to the developer console. In this developer console, we can able to click on the test tab. We can see each and every class, each and every trigger code coverage at one place itself. Instead of opening each and every class and trigger separately, we can see all the code components, code coverage at one place by using this particular component. Now, let me give this navigation also too. We can see all the code components, code coverage at one place by using the below navigation. Go to your name and expand it. Click on developer console link. Go to the developer console editor. Expand the tab bar and click on the test tab and view the code coverage of all the Apex classes and triggers at one place. In the form of a table or file. So this is the navigation in order to view all the classes and triggers. Now you can raise a question. Sir, what about the batch class, schedule classes, web services? Those are also the classes, nothing else. Batch class is also class, right? Scheduler is also class, right? Web service is also class, right? Visual Force Controller is also class, right? So classes and triggers, all the code components, all the Apex classes, triggers, batch classes, scheduling classes, web services. Web service is nothing but simply class, that's it. As of now, we are preparing the class which can be accessible within the organization. To make this class can be accessible from the third-party systems, we are exposing to the third party by using the web service. That's web service is also class, nothing else. So that all the code components, code coverage we can see at one place by using this developer console. Now, in this case, how can we prepare the test classes? Okay. How can we prepare the test classes? So now, whenever we are going to preparing the test classes, we have to follow some. We have to prepare one separate class. Something for test class, we have to prepare first. We have to prepare a test class. Upon preparing the test class, we have to follow some navigation and we have to follow some set of steps. We'll see how to prepare the test classes. Upon preparing the test class, we have to follow the below steps. Now, as a step one, in this case, test class is also like as your Apex classroom. The test class is like as also your Apex classroom. Generally, for example, assume that we are preparing the Apex class like this. Now we are indicating the access specifier and then class and then class. Here we are writing some business logic. Here's the normal class. Here's the business logic array. Assume that this is the normal class. If we want to test this business logic, then what we can do? We have to prepare a test class. For this one here, how to prepare the test class? Here also the same syntax. Specify that access specifier, class name. Here we have to write that code to test that code. Write the code to test the business logic. In order to test the business logic, we are writing some code. But how can we make this class as a test class? For that one, we have to define this class with the help of an annotation called as is a test. Is a test. So for each and every class, for each and every trigger, we are preparing a separate test class. For each and every class, for each and every trigger, we are preparing a separate test class. Test class should be always a prefix with the help of a keyword with an annotation that is called as is a test annotation. That means this is a test annotation is indicating this class is a test class. This class is a test class. It doesn't have any business logic. It doesn't have any business logic. It is having some code to test your existing functionalities. To test your existing functionality, it is having some testing related code is available. It is not having actual business logic. It is having the code to test your business logic. So in this case, all the test classes, each and every test class should be get prefixed with the word with the annotation is a test annotation. Now, in this case, whenever we are going to preparing the test classes here, each and every test class should be prefixed with that annotation, okay, is the test annotation. Now you can raise a question. Sir, as of now, Salesforce has given very limited number of characters to us that we can write maximum of 60 lakhs Apex characters code. So we are having so many functionalities we need to implement as part of my business logic, as part of my project. So we are writing so many Apex classes. We are writing so many Apex classes in order to implement this business logic. If I'm writing this test class also, okay, it is going to be occupying some more lines of code, right? It is also having some characters, right? It is occupying some more characters, right? Yes. In this case, what are the test classes that you have prepared? Test class characters code will not be counting as part of your Apex characters limit. Okay. Your test class code, what are the test class code that are written here? You can write some thousands of lines of code also for the testing purpose, no problem. This characters, this class character, this test class characters code will not be counting as part of your Apex characters limit. Now in this case, what are the commented lines of code? Okay, what are the commented lines of code like this? What are the commented lines of code? What are the test class code is available? This code will not be counting as part of your Apex characters. It will not be counted. That's what we can able to prepare the test classes also. So now here in this case, okay, now here in this case, now let me implement this one. I'm giving it for each trigger and business logic class, we have to prepare a separate test class. A separate test class. For each and every business logic class, for each and every trigger, we need to prepare a separate test classes. You can prepare a separate test class. Now, as per the fundamental principles, that's it. So now here in this case, how to prepare the test class? Here, this is my actual business logic class. For example, here, assume that. So this is my business logic class and this is my test class. So now in this case, okay, now here in this case, whenever we are going to preparing this test class for your business logic class, then we have to follow some certain principles, some naming conventions over it. Now, upon preparing the test class, we have to follow the below naming conventions. Below naming conventions are coding standards. Coding standards. Now, in this case, for example, my business logic class name. My business logic class name is like this. So now, accounts helper. Then for this one, I want to prepare the test class. What is the name that we can give? What is the test class name? For our best practice, instead of giving a different name, for the test class name, I can give anything, no problem. But for our understanding here, instead of giving the different names, we are going to be using the same name along with by using that by ending this class name with the keyword test. Then now this is indicating that this is a test class, because this class name has been ended with the keyword test, because this is a test class. This kind of the naming conventions we are following inside the organizations. So now this class name is ending with the keyword test. Now this test class is using for which purpose? We are testing. Which class we are testing with this test class? This is the class over here, accounts helper class. This is our easy identification over here. So this is the actual business logic class. This is the test class. Now, or else we can follow some different naming convention. Another one. This is my actual class. Now the test class name is accounts helper underscore test. This is the test class we used to follow. Or else one more naming convention. So now my test class name will be test accounts helper. Because we are going to be adding this test keyword at starting. Or else one more naming convention. So now this name will be getting added at the starting, test underscore accounts helper. Like that. These are the naming conventions that people used to follow in the real-time implementations. So in order to differentiate which one is a normal business logic class, which one is a test class, for our easy identification, these kind of naming conventions we used to follow. So that here my actual business logic class name is accounts helper and my test class name is accounts helper test. So now here this class name is ending with the word test. This is our identification. This is the test class. Now this test class is using to test which business logic class. This is the business logic class, like as accounts helper class. Accounts helper is the actual business logic class. To do the testing of that actual business logic class, we are preparing this test class. So these are the naming conventions. In few organizations, the people following this kind of naming convention. In few organizations, they're following this kind of. In few organizations, these are the naming conventions. So these are the 4 formats we used to follow in our organization. Any one of the format you can follow. Depends upon the company, depends upon the project. The people will follow any one of these 4. So as part of your requirement here, as part of our implementation, we used to follow the first one. We are following the first one. Most of the people are going to following the first one, the first naming convention over here, the first methodology of naming conventions in the real-time implementations. Then, in this case, how can we prepare the test class? Whenever we are going to preparing the test class, each and every test class should be prefixed with an annotation called as @ is a test annotation, which is informing to the Apex runtime. This is a test class, so please don't count these characters code inside your Apex characters limit. Now, in this case, let me give the total. Commented lines of code and test class code characters will not be counting. As part of our organization's Apex characters list. It will not be counting as part of your Apex characters list. Your commented lines of code and the test class code will not be counting as part of your Apex characters limits. So now in this case, how to prepare our own test classes over here? What are the various steps that we need to follow? Now, in this case, I'm indicating this one. Test class should be always prefixed with the annotation at the rate is a test, which indicates that it is a test class. Which indicates that it is a test class. So which will not be counting as part of this Apex characters limit. Now, upon preparing the test class, how can we find? Now, here it is a question. So now, what kind of access specifiers that we can use for the test class? Test classes access specifier will be either public or private. It should not be global. Test class access specifier should be always either private or public. Test class access specifier should be always either private or public. Test class access specifier should be always private or public. Now, in this case, how to prepare these test classes? Let me explain. The step one. As a step one, prepare a test class. Prepare a test class with the required name. And make sure the class should be prefixed with the word, prefixed with the annotation @ is a test. @ is a test. This is the first step. Now, the syntax. This is a syntax. @ we can specify is the test and then specify the access specifier. That may be either private or public. Here I am indicating private or public. And then class, test class. Okay, test class name. Write the code to test the business logic. This is the first one. This is the first step. As a step two, inside this test class, we have to prepare a test method. Inside the test class, we have to prepare a test method. Now, inside the test class, we have to prepare a test method. Now, for example, here I'm indicating one example also. @ is the test. I'm indicating private class accounts helper. Private class accounts helper test. Write the testing code. If it is a trigger, we can prepare that. @ is a test. Private class auto lead convert trigger test. Write the testing code like this. This is the first step. We have to prepare the test class here. It may be for the normal business logic class also. It may be for your trigger also. Prepare the test class. Either test class access specifier should be either private or public. It should not be global. Next. And then as a step two, prepare the test method inside the test class. Prepare the testing method inside the test class, which will be initiating the testing process, which will invoke automatically, upon testing the business logic. We have to prepare a testing method over here. How to prepare the testing method? Now let's see the syntax. So now we have to prepare the testing method over here. So upon preparing the testing method, we have to follow some specific rules. Now, the first one. Testing method should be always static. Testing method should be always static. And the second principle, testing method doesn't return any value to the calling environment. Hence, the return type should be always while. and the return type should be always one. The third principle. Testing method should be always defined by using the keyword testing method. By using the keyword testing method. Now, the fourth one. We can call or invoke. We can call the invoke the normal methods. Normal or business logic methods from the testing. These are the four principles we need to follow. In this case, how can we prepare this testing? Upon preparing the testing method, we have to follow some certain rules. Testing method should be always static. It doesn't return any value to the calling environment, so that here it should be having the return type as white. Testing method should be always defined with the keyword test. So the testing method. And we can call some other business logic methods also from the test. There is a possibility available. Then what is the syntax of this case? Now we have to specify. Now we have to prepare that over here. Now we have to specify static testing method y method name. We can give any method name. And here we can able to write the business logic. Write the testing code. Write the testing code. Write the testing code. For example, inside this, for example, this is the business logic class. Inside this class, we have to write the testing. This is a testing code where we have to write inside the testing. So static testing method while test accounts logic. You can give any name over here. Inside that, we can write the business. This is the second step. Here we have to write that business logic. Here we have to write the business logic. This is the format to prepare the testing class. We have to prepare the testing class by giving that annotation at the rate is a test annotation, and then define the testing class with either private or public. And then inside the testing class, prepare a testing method. In this testing method, we have to write the actual business logic code as the actual testing code which you would need to test your business logics. Now, so now here in this case, how can we implement this testing? Now, the second step, this is the process we have to prepare the testing case. Now, as a step 3, invoke the testing class or run the testing class. Whenever you are going to be running the testing class, okay, we are having the various ways are available. We have various ways. How to run the testing class now? Let's see. Here we are having, if it is a standard navigation. Now open the testing class. Click on run test button. There is a button is available that is run test. There is a button will be available run test. Like for example, if it is a normal class, whenever I'm opening a normal class, suppose when you go to the normal business logic classes, this is the normal class, a common helper class. Here when you go to this class, you will be having some buttons: edit, delete, download, security, show dependencies. Like that, there are some buttons are available. If it is a test class, okay, if it is a test class, it will be having one additional button called as run test. It will be having an additional button called as run test. By using the run test button also, we can able to execute that. That facility will be available as part of this. Now, the second mechanism. By using the same standard navigation. Here I'm indicating this. Go to the setup menu, go to the building menu, go to the develop, go to the Apex classes. And then we can open your test class and then click on the run testing. Second, go to the setup menu, go to the building menu, go to the develop, click on Apex test execution. Execution view. Select the test classes by using the checkboxes and click on run test button. This is the second, in order to execute the test classes. Next, the third mechanism. Here also that is also standard navigation. Go to the setup menu, go to the build menu, go to the develop, click on Apex classes link, click on run our testing. This is the third navigation. This is the third mechanism. Any one of the way you can use. Next, from the developer console. Open the developer console. Create the test class. Write the code inside the test class. Save the class code by using Control S. And then click on run test button. Click on run test button. These are the 4 ways are available to run your test classes over. Now we have to prepare the test class first. Write the testing code inside the test method, and then we have to invoke the test class. That means we have to run the test class. These are the 3 simple steps. If you want to run the test class, we can able to use this navigation. The first navigation here, you will be getting one button called as additional button called as run test button. Second way is we can go to the develop. We have an option called as Apex test execution. Here you will be able to see all the classes, or else click on select a test. You will be getting all the test classes which you have prepared, and then select those test classes checkboxes, click on run button. We can able to execute multiple test classes in one shot. And the third mechanism, go to the develop, click on Apex classes. Here you will be having a button called as run all test button. By using this run all test button also, we can able to run your test class. This is the third one. Fourth one is from your developer console. In your developer console also, we can able to prepare your own test class. You will be getting one button over here additional. Like as here you will be getting one button called as a run test button. Here we can able to get the button. By using that button also, we can able to run the test classes. These are the 4 ways are available to run your test classes. So this is the theoretical information about the test classes. How to prepare the test classes we'll see in tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's session, we'll see the practical concept of test classes and how to prepare a test class for a normal business logic class, how to prepare the test class for a trigger, how to prepare a test class for the batch classes. Everything we'll see one by one in tomorrow's session. So tomorrow we'll see the practical concept of test classes. Don't miss the tomorrow session because this topic is a bit important as part of implementations. As a developer, this is the most important feature. Because without this quality code, we can't deploy the code to that production. So that's what here always we have to prepare the testing classes for your business logic components which you have implemented.
వెళ్ళిపోతాను ఇంటికి వెళ్ళిపోతాను